I hope you're all studying well. So in today's session, we'll be discussing about quite a lot of news, some interesting topics, and let's begin. So the first one, Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit. Now this time, the External Affairs Minister from India, represented India for the 2024's SCO Summit, which was organized in Islamabad, Pakistan. Now, here our minister highlighted the need to combat terrorism, separatism, and extremism for SCO member countries. Now, he underlined that the cooperation among countries depend on mutual trust and respect. Therefore, nations should respect territorial integrity and sovereignty. Understanding the same, India remains to be the only SCO member that hasn't yet signed or supported the BRI, which is China's Belt and Road Initiative. This we are opposing due to the territorial concerns. Now, understanding the same, the member countries discussed the negative impact of Western sanctions, especially on countries like Russia and Iran, and criticized trade protectionism, and likewise also addressed matters related to high tariffs from Western nations and advocated for ensuring smoother industrial and trade connections. Now, understanding this, SCO is basically an intergovernmental organization that concentrates on political, economic, and security cooperation among its members. Now, in the year 1996, China, Russia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Tajikistan established the Shanghai Five to enhance military trust and border security. Likewise, in the year 2001, Uzbekistan joined the group, and then the organization was renamed to Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Now, the SCO Charter of 2003 outlines its goals and principles. Similarly, in the year 2017, it expanded to 8 states with India and Pakistan joining it. Likewise, Iran joined the group in the July 2023 and Belarus in July 24. At present, as we can see, there are total 10 members, and the secretariat is located in Beijing, China. Afghanistan and Mongolia are the two countries having observer status for this in SCO. Now we come to the next news for today, which is INS Samarthak. Now, what is INS Samarthak? The Indian Navy marked a significant milestone with launch of Samarthak, the first vessel under the two multi-purpose vessel project being constructed by L&T shipyard at Kattupalli. Okay, now it is a sea-going ship built for the carriage of a wide range of cargoes. Now, for examples of these cargoes would be wood, steel, building materials, rolls of papers, and bulk cargo. Likewise, the multi-purpose vessels can be divided into 4 categories. What are these 4 categories? Vessels with and without cargo gear, coastal trade liners, and sea river vessels. Now, talking about this basic description, it is a type. What is the type? MPV, multi-purpose vessel. The design and construction, it is made with the government of India's initiative, that is Make in India initiative, and the Atmanirbhar Bharat vision. Now, the development and testing of the next generation weapons and sensors for the Indian Navy are the primary functions of INS Samarthak. Now, there are certain additional functions to it. Number 1 being maritime surveillance, then patrolling, launching and recovering surface and aerial targets, next being providing humanitarian assistance, and lastly being combating sea pollution. The maximum speed that we can observe here is 15 knots. So, please try to make a list of all of this. We come to the third news for today, that is National Center for Good Governance. Now, what is this? The National Center for Good Governance has launched its first mid-career training program, that is for civil servants from BIMSTEC nations from October 14 to October 25th of 2024. Talking about this, the program takes place in Mussoorie and New Delhi and aims to improve regional cooperation and governance standards among the BIMSTEC countries. Now, it is an autonomous institution under the Ministry of Personnel, Public Grievances and Pensions. It was established in 2014. However, its origin can be tracked back to the National Institute of Administrative Research (NIAR), which was set up in 1995 by Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration, also commonly known as Labasna. NIAR was later reconstructed and subsumed into NCGG. Talking about this, when we talk about the Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation, BIMSTEC, it was established in 1997 through the Bangkok Declaration. Now, it was started with 4 member countries: Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka and Thailand. Nepal also joined this as an observer in the year 1998, and later the became a full member in the year 2004 with Bhutan. Now, currently there are 7 member countries: Bangladesh, India, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Thailand, Nepal and Bhutan. Now, the permanent secretariat of this is located in Dhaka, Bangladesh. I want you to make a good note of this and keep yourself aware about the BIMSTEC as well as what is this National Center for Good Governance. Now, when I tell you about this, you can see the nations as well. And talking about the 7 member countries, the objectives of BIMSTEC, first one being to enable environment for rapid economic development, next being to collaborate and mutually assist members on matters of common interest, next being to maintain close and beneficial cooperation with existing international and regional organizations. Next being to endeavor to eradicate poverty from the Bay of Bengal region. That is a whole region that is marked in the red. You can see that. Likewise, finally, to establish multidimensional connectivity, promote synergy among connectivity frameworks in the region. Please try to make a note of all of these and try to keep yourself aware about all the 7 member countries as well. Moving on. Now we come to the next news for today, that is Lady Justice. Now what is this? The Supreme Court has unveiled a new statue of Lady Justice, a sari-clad woman holding scales and the Constitution. Now what is this? The image of Lady Justice has its root from the Greek and Roman mythology, the image that you can see on the screen as well. Now this, when I try to tell you, in Greek mythology, Themis is a goddess representing justice, wisdom and good counsel. She is usually showing holding scales in one of the hand and a sword in the other one, which symbolizes the balance and power to enforce justice. Later in the Roman culture, Emperor Augustus introduced the goddess Justitia, who closely resembled Themis. Justitia also did not wear a blindfold. Now, this is what about the past. Now talking about India adopting the Lady Justice image during the British rule, and it remains in the country's courts even today. Now this Lady Justice represents fairness, equality and rule of law. Usually she is shown as a woman with 3 key symbols: a blindfold, scales and sword. Now the new one is without blindfold, which highlights that the judicial system sees and considers the circumstances of each case. This is a shift from the old idea of justice is blind to the new one, which is justice should be aware and sensitive to each situation. Instead of sword, we can see the statue holding Constitution in one hand, and the other one being mentioning that law is not blind, it sees everyone equally. So this is the new change that you must be aware of. You may have questions for this in any of the sections that is there for your upcoming examination. Coming to the next, which is Conference of Parties 16. Now what is this? The 16th meeting of Conference of Parties to the Convention on Biological Diversity. Now this is the first meeting since the adoption of Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity. It's the theme for this year is Make Peace with Nature, which calls for decisive governmental action. Now the top agenda for COP16 is to review the progress of the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, which is now called as Biodiversity Plan. Now the key topics that were discussed in the meeting are linking biodiversity and climate action, protecting the ocean, equitable forest protection and monitoring and reporting, and finally being mechanisms of finance. So please have a note at this as well. Coming to the last part of the news for today, that is India Pakistan's extend the Kartarpur Corridor agreement for 5 years. Now what is this? It has now agreed to renew their pact for the Kartarpur Sahib corridor for an addition of another 5 years. Now this was after our external affairs minister visited Islamabad, where he met the Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and the Deputy Prime Minister Muhammad Ishaq Dar. Now the renewal comes shortly after our visit, where he engaged with Pakistan's leadership, as I told you. Now the original agreement, which facilitates the visit of Indian pilgrims to Gurudwara Darbar Sahib in Pakistan, was set to expire on October 24th. Now, the 4-kilometer long Kartarpur corridor provides a visa-free access for Indian Sikh pilgrims to visit the Gurudwara Sahib, Darbar Sahib, the final resting place of the Sikhism's founder, that is Guru Nanak Dev. So please have a look at all of these topics that I'm discussing today. You definitely need to go beyond that. This is just structure so that you can start studying about it. I'll see you all in the next video. Till then, bye bye, take care, and all the best.